Today we're going to look at this awesome, affordable little 12.3 inch monitor that I picked up from Amazon, and we're going to look at how you can get it set up to show your primary flight displays, navigation displays, etc. in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'll show you how to get it set up and where to get it if you fancy adding one to your setup. So let's dive in. So I paid £85.99 for this screen on Amazon here in the UK when I bought it, and I think that's a pretty good deal. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. It's made by a company called Pretchen. I'm not sure if they actually make this monitor themselves or if they're just slapping their logo on someone else's monitor, which I might point out actually on mine the logo is not aligned centrally and it triggers me every single time I look at it, but I digress. Now at the time of recording the price has gone up a little bit. The monitor is now £99.99 on Amazon, but if you tick a box you can get a £10 off voucher and then it goes down to £89.99, so whatever. Now you connect it to your PC using two cables, one HDMI cable which goes obviously to your PC, and there's a USB-C for power. Whenever I've featured this monitor in my live streams, I always get asked what it is. I think some people perhaps think that it's a specialized, dedicated piece of hardware that connects directly to the sim, but it's literally just a monitor, albeit a monitor with an unusual aspect ratio. You plug it in and Windows treats it just like any other display. In Windows display settings, I've got it dragged to sit beneath my 4K TV, which is what I use to sim on, and you can see that that is reflected here in my physical setup. For mounting, I'm actually propping mine up on a little stand thing that comes as part of my Boeing Thrustmaster yoke, although it is quite easy to knock and have it slide around or potentially fall, so I may look to secure it a bit better, perhaps with some command strips. One issue I did have was that it blocked the bottom part of my PC when simming because of the additional height, and also it blocked my Tobii Eye Tracker 5, pretty much rendering it completely useless. So over the weekend I made a few changes to my setup. First of all, I've wall mounted my TV with a bracket that I've had lying around for ages but never bothered to use, and also with the Tobii Eye Tracker 5 I managed to mount it to the top of this new monitor that we have. I did this by using the VESA mounting holes on the back of it. I actually used ChatGPT to design me a little plate that can attach using the top two screws of the VESA mount and have it poke up around about 18mm above the top of the screen, and it actually designed me a 3D model. I couldn't believe it. Well, I say a 3D model. It generated me some code that I could then paste into a piece of software called OpenSCAD, which is like a code to 3D modeling tool, and it actually worked. So my Tobii Eye Tracker is now attached right to the top of the screen. I figured that if AI is going to basically ruin PC building for us, I might as well have it do something vaguely useful to compensate for all the trouble it's caused. But genuinely, kind of impressed. So that's the physical setup side of things sorted out for me at least. So now let's get it set up to the sim. To get it working with the sim, we're going to use a piece of software called MSFS Pop-Out Manager 2024. There is an older version for Flight Sim 2020, but seeing as I'm pretty much full-time on 24 now, we're going to use the 2024 version of the app. I'll leave links in the description to flightsim.to where you can download it. Now let's jump into the sim and we'll get this set up with the Phoenix A320. Pop-Out Manager does work with other aircraft too, but for the interest of time for today, we're just going to show the Phoenix. Best thing to do is spawn with a plane on a runway, so all of your screens are kind of alive by default. You can make profiles for different planes in the sim, so we'll make one here for the Phoenix. Then you can start adding the screens that you want to pop out, so give it a name. Click identify, then click on the screen you want to pop out, then you can add another. We'll do the ND and then finally the upper ECAM. Then you can click start pop out and you'll see that we now have some windows overlaying our sim, but obviously we don't want them there. We want them on our new screen. Now I'll warn you, this part is a right faff. If anyone knows a better way, I'm all ears, leave a comment, but give this the time it deserves. You only need to do it once, then you can forget about it, lock it all in place and move on with your life. So go back into Pop-Out Manager and we can start dialing this thing in. So the first thing we're going to want to think about is how wide our new screen is, and it's 1920 pixels wide by 720 high. So I figured 3 screens that are popped out at 640 by 720 would fill our new display nicely. So I set the widths and the heights accordingly. And now there's the top and the left fields for each screen. And you can see that based on what's currently in there, they're stacking from the top left of the screen. The PFD being 0 on the top and 0 on the left, therefore it's showing in the top left of our main simming TV. As our TV is 4K, which is a resolution of 3840 by 2160, I figured putting 2161 in the top field would push our newly popped out displays down off the bottom of our 4K TV and into our new monitor. But of course we also need something in the left field too. Let's start just with 1000, so we've got something in there. You can also click to move these values either in single pixels or in tens of pixels, and there, bang on, that's good. Let's do the same thing for the other two windows, but obviously adding 640 into the left field each time so they sit next to each other. This is where it gets a bit weird though. Look at how when I put in the raw values, it's not fitting quite right with that upper eCam screen, but if I move it by 1 pixel, it snaps into place, which is weird, but okay, whatever, I guess. If it works, it works. Click on the padlock to lock in our hard work. What we want to do though, we want to close all of these pop-outs now and we'll relaunch them and see if it works. And you can see it sort of does, except for we now have white title bars from our pop-out windows. They're now overlaying the bottom of our main simming TV. Great. Okay, so back to the pop-out manager then. My best guess here is that the title bars on the top of our popped-out displays are adding to the overall height. So I added an extra 25 pixels to each top field and then removed 25 pixels from each height field. And as you can see, it's now looking pretty good, but it would be quite nice, wouldn't it, if we could lose those title bars. Luckily, there is a toggle for each of our popped out displays to hide the title bars, so I guess just check it, right? Nice and easy, let's try it. Okay, so while the title bars are gone and our new screen is full of Airbus displays, we're now getting a black overflow onto the bottom of our simming TV. Through nothing but trial and error, adjusting things a few pixels at a time, closing all the screens, reloading them, I finally got things to work, and I will show the values that I got to work on screen now. I found that as I was inputting these values, kind of moving the popped out displays around, the screens would look just wrong, like the white title bars would come back, etc. They'd be in the wrong place. In order to fully test your work, you need to close all the pop-outs and then restart the process and see where they land. And you have to wait for the whole process to fully complete. And you can see here, it's kind of snaps into place now and it's done. You'll note that I made the PFD display 10 pixels wider than the others. That's because I figured why not have it a bit bigger, have it as large as possible, as that's where the flight directors are going to live, and the bigger they appear, the better it is for me to see it. It's only 10 pixels, but I figured why not. Keep in mind that the figures that I used in the top and the left fields might be different to what you need. Maybe you're running a 1440p monitor or an ultra-wide monitor as your main simming screen, whereas I'm running a 4K TV. Also, in Windows display settings, even if you are running a 4K TV like me, maybe you have your new screen aligned slightly more to the left or to the right relative to your main simming monitor versus what I have. It is a complete faff to set this up, make no mistake, but once it's done and you shouldn't have to do it again, and the rewards are well worth it. It is so nice flying an ILS with this screen, having the PFD nice and large in front of you. It makes following those flight directors loads easier versus looking at it on your display, particularly if you're running like a 27-inch 1440p monitor and it's pushed quite far back on your desk. And it also allows you to fly while looking out the window, or maybe with an external view, because of course you could be in a wing view, but you could also be even hand flying the plane while looking out of the window just by following the flight directors on this new monitor. It's really, really cool. And considering this monitor cost under £100, you kind of got to think of it, pound for pound, this delivers massive quality of life improvements in my setup. I mean, I've spent a lot more on other things that haven't really delivered the same level of value. Final bit of housekeeping, make sure you have right Alt on your keyboard set to create new UI windows in your keyboard settings. I spent ages today trying to figure out why it just wasn't working at all. Turns out I created a new keyboard profile for the sim, which basically removed everything to stop me accidentally like turning the engines off mid-flight by whacking the keyboard. And of course it removed the right Alt for making new UI windows, which of course is crucial for doing the pop-out, so be aware of that. Also regarding chase plane, it used to be the case, I think, that you had to disable chase plane, run Pop-Out Manager, then re-enable Chaseplane once your monitors are all popped out. But in my testing today, it all seemed to be working with Chaseplane running the entire time. But if you do hit issues, consider looking into disabling Chaseplane, run Pop-Out Manager to pop out your screens, then re-enable Chaseplane. If you're running Pop-Out Manager without Chaseplane and then decide to get Chaseplane, you'll likely find it breaks everything, as Chaseplane deletes all the old non-Chaseplane views, even like the basic pilot's cockpit view, so you'll have to go through and rerun the initial setup process using Chaseplane. I think that's everything. I really hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you've made it this far, please consider dropping a like. It really helps the video and the channel a ton. And get subbed and ring the bell so you don't miss any future live streams or video content here on the channel. Or if YouTube streams aren't your thing, come over and check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/airnot. Until next time though, thank you very much indeed for watching. You all look after yourselves, be good to each other, and as always, happy flying.